everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name's Amanda. I have 4 children. I home educate them in the UK. Today I'm going to talk about my 7-year-old boy who's in year 3 and kind of what I do for his homeschool routine. So my 7-year-old boy is full of energy, full of curiosity, and today I just want to share with you what his routine is like. We base it on the Charlotte Mason method. I use the Ambleside Online Curriculum as a guide, but anyone who's familiar with that will see that, you know, I haven't followed that to the T. I've pulled in different books from different years, kind of based on his maturity really. So my little boy, I'd kind of like to get him to come and say hello, but last time I saw he was locked on to watching Top Gear. So I'm probably not going to have much luck getting him to come and say hi. He's been home educated now for 18 months, I would say. So I base what I do on the Charlotte Mason method, but not exclusively. We do a bit of unschooling, interest-led stuff as well. But the bulk of what we do day to day when we're doing our normal school routine is based on that Charlotte Mason approach, and I use the Ambleside Online Curriculum as my kind of guide. But what we're doing is unique to him. So every morning we have our group learning, and he obviously takes part in that, and we cover our Shakespeare, history, some kind of world history, poetry, Bible, some language study of Maori, art appreciation and music appreciation. I've got a video on our morning routine I'll link below if you're interested in how I do all those subjects, but he takes part in that. And then kind of when we've finished our group stuff, we do our individual work, and so now I'm just going to go through what he does individually on a normal morning. So first up, he does some handwriting, and I use the Good and the Beautiful handwriting program for that. He's doing the level 5 at the moment. I think it's a bit above him, but he's finished the level 4 and I quite like it as a program, so he does that. Then he does Duolingo, and he does 3 languages on Duolingo every day. He does Latin, Spanish and Hebrew. He's very good at languages, and so I was really happy for him to just really kind of focus on that. He just loves talking in a foreign language and learning it, so he does that every day. Then a core part of his learning is his reading of living books and narrating, and a core part of the Charlotte Mason philosophy is using living books to teach a subject. Living books bring a subject to life. They just articulate things really beautifully, better than the average teacher can in an oral kind of stand up the front of the classroom sort of way. And also by reading a lot, they get exposure to the written word, and so things like punctuation and grammar and spelling, they just kind of go in over time because of the sheer volume of reading that's going on. So my little boy who's 7, he's quite advanced with his reading, which is really, really great. He loves reading, he does it a lot, and he's more than happy to have a lot of his school time be reading books with me. So here's some of what we're doing. So he has 8 books he's working through at any given time. We do about 2 a day. Normally he will always do 1 with his younger brother. So he's got 2 books that are kind of history focused. The Child's History of the World, which he reads with me on his own, and Our Island Story, which he reads through with his younger brother at the same time. For geography, he's reading a book with his older sister, Marco Polo's Travels and Adventures, and we're working through this book quite slowly, so we do about half a chapter a week, and we get a big giant atlas, and we actually look where he's going on this, and this is fantastic. Just learning about where Marco Polo travelled, he's really enjoying that. The language is quite sophisticated. I do have to interpret a lot of the vocabulary, but he's still quite engaged with it. Also for geography, he's soon going to be starting this book called The Boy Who Bites the World. He'll probably read that with his younger brother, I think. So for literature, he's got 2 books he's working through for literature. This one he reads with his younger brother, which is Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories. And he's also reading through The Wind and the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. For science, him and his younger brother are working together through this book called A Drop of Water. This is a really beautiful book. Let me show you. Each kind of page is about one scientific property of water, and there's lots of little experiments to do. So we did a really cool experiment with this one, seeing that we could actually manage to get a pinhead to float, or it's not actually float, but to keep it on top of a glass of water. So this is a really lovely book that we're working through. So he really loves this book. We're also reading The Storybook of Science by Jean-Henri Fabre. I only have that on the Kindle. It is a beautiful storybook that brings to life so many different scientific concepts. So he's really enjoying reading that book. From time to time I dip into this book, The Case for Faith. This raises quite a lot of kind of philosophical questions, but he's quite a deep thinker, so he's quite happy with that. He also does quite a lot of activities in this engineering activity book. I try and do maybe once a week with him. It doesn't always happen, but he always enjoys doing projects in this book together. And finally, another little book I'm working through at the moment with him and his younger brother is called Wildlife in Woods and Fields by Arabella Buckley. She is just a beautiful author of all things kind of natural and plants and animals, and it's kind of a nature study book but told in a really story form sort of way. That's not just a list of books. What happens is once we read a chapter, he has to tell back to me in his own words what happened in that lesson and kind of what he found interesting about it, and kind of really engage with it by telling it back to me. Every day he also does some recitation. So recitation is just reading out loud or reciting out loud some written form of literature. I've got a little recitation folder that I use for all the children, and it's got a selection of kind of poetry. He's just mastered this one, Who Has Seen the Wind by Christina Rossetti. I've got Psalms, I've got Shakespeare, I've got hymn lyrics, song lyrics, that kind of thing. So every day he will recite. Sometimes he likes to stand up on a chair or stand up on the sofa, or stand up on the coffee table and read it to me in a loud, nice, loud, strong voice. Sometimes he likes to be playful and make it funny too. Every day he does piano. He does that with Hoffman Academy online. I really can't recommend this enough. It has worked beautifully for him. He's never had a piano lesson with a real life teacher ever. He's only used the Hoffman Academy, but he has really made amazing progress in the piano, and he really loves to improvise and make up his own songs. So he does that every day. Maths. So this kid is quite advanced with maths. He made really rapid progress when we first started homeschooling on Khan Academy. He went nearly 2 years ahead of his age group quite quickly in a couple of months. And then he's kind of reached his ceiling, which just meant he couldn't do it independently anymore. He would get frustrated because it was just too difficult. Up till that point, he'd been doing it all by himself. So at the moment, I'm just doing maths with him. What I've just chosen to do, literally this month, is just work through a couple of little books, just for a change. So today we just started this book, which is a year 5 kind of multiplication division book. And he's also doing this reasoning book for year 4 as well. Once we've got through these, I should hopefully know where he's really up to, where he needs to go next, and formulate a plan from there. Writing is probably the subject that requires the most of him, demands the most, and doesn't come as naturally. So this is the area where we have the most kind of tussles over. But I am following the Charlotte Mason approach to writing, which at this age is simply about getting them to really master how to form the letters and copying good quality writing, and then using the oral composition to be innovative and creative. So he can make up whatever he wants to say orally, but when it comes to actually writing it, I'm not trying to get all those processes of what word do I want to say? How do I spell it? How do I punctuate? How do I write the letter A? All going on at the same time. So he does the simple practice of copy work, which is copying someone else's writing. So I've been making these little copy work sheets for him in Canva, which is an amazing little graphic design program. It's free, totally recommend it. So I've just been getting different things that he's been reading. So here's a bit from The Wind and the Willows. I just kind of pulled out a few quotes and he just has to copy it out. So by doing that, he is practicing spelling, he is practicing punctuation and grammar by just copying out good quality writing. Every now and then he wants to be creative and wants to write something down himself that's his own ideas, and I'm like, yay, go for it. But I just know that emotionally that's too demanding for him to do that on a daily basis. And I have noticed actually that his spelling and punctuation has improved a lot simply from copying someone else's writing. So that's kind of the morning, the bulk of what takes place in the mornings. In the afternoons we get to do a lot of other things like nature study, sport, going into the woods, seeing friends. He's not a big art guy at the moment, but I do try and make sure that at least once a week he sits down and does some kind of art of some kind. So this boy also loves facts. It's like he's got an encyclopedic brain, so I'm constantly getting out from the library non-fiction books. And I know if I just leave these non-fiction books scattered around the house, he will go and find them and start reading them. And then over dinner he will start telling me some random fact about something that, of course, I wasn't thinking about. That said, he also loves good fiction, and at the moment he's completely engrossed in a series of books called The Roman Mysteries by Caroline Lawrence. All my children love these books. There's heaps of them in the series, some amazing characters, and it's all set in ancient Rome, and he's just learned a huge amount about ancient Rome simply from reading these books. So he also does some games on the tablet that are educational. So Study Ladder, he always enjoys doing that, and World Geography games. World Geography games is fantastic. I really recommend it. You can drill down in terms of countries, capital cities, flags, oceans, mountain regions, deserts, the structure of the earth, the atmosphere. There's just so many different games that you can play on there, and he loves playing those games and has memorized where all sorts of countries and capital cities are.
One quick question. What? I don't think the soldiers are going today.